An impromptu night at the Gunners Club.
It
Who
is, and
would have thought?
Welcome. We're very glad you're here. It's not a thankless job entirely what we do, because we do get to drink some incredible stuff, but we are tireless in finding the best drinks for you. And we had a bit of a discovery, didn't we, last week, in the streets of Melbourne?
In the streets of Melbourne, in Chinatown.
No less.
Shark Fin Inn.
And how wonderful was that? It was basically, imagine if you will, the flower drum without the pomp and without the price, but with the excellent service and the excellent food.
Oh, was it excellent though?
Yeah.
They brought like 10 or 14 dishes out faster than we could get a burger out of
I agree.
Hungry Jack.
A few weeks ago, entirely right. And they had a bit of a sense of humour too, which I quite liked. But you did have to reassure them quite a lot that we really were going to eat all the food that we ordered, and by gum we did.
Oh my God. This is one of the discoveries that we found at the Speakeasy, one of the other places we went to.
We found a bolt hole where basically it was like an old library. They had a ladder that was attached to rails, and they'd move it across to get you the whiskey or the drink that you were after.
It was like 3 levels, 4 levels up.
Really impressive. And we did obligatory the paddle of beers, and we found something that was just too good for us not to share with you. Go back and have a look at the video we've done a few weeks ago on stouts. Is Guinness still the king? I would argue from what you're holding in your overworked hands that Guinness is no longer the king. Now, what you've got here is special. Have a look at the colour.
Yeah, it's definitely a, what they call it, a white stout?
Yeah, a white stout.
It's a stout. Now, imagine this for a moment. You go to a Greek cafe and you order a short black. You know those Greek short blacks where you can stand the spoon up in it? That's what you get out of this. It's that much coffee, but dark chocolate.
Yeah, and the
the
sweetness
top.
too.
Yeah.
So they call it, what, a barrel-aged bourbon tiramisu white stout from memory, and that's really something to remember. And we had a lot of trouble finding it, but we did find it. And this is what the can looks like. You're going to have to go online to find it, because most shops we've been to, they don't even know what a white stout is.
Yeah.
They're the poorer for it, but please join us and enjoy it. You will love it. I'm drinking something a little bit different today. I'm drinking a Pirate Life choc porter. The chocolate really comes through. You'll have a look at the colour immediately and say, well, that's pretty much typical what you'd expect for a porter. And in this weather, it's magnificent.
You see, I don't get the chocolate coming through that, just from the nose I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I certainly do, but unfortunately with what you're having right now, you're stepping out of a Rolls Royce.
Oh, I can't believe how good that is.
Yeah.
I wonder if that will ever go mainstream. Because that, $11.90 a can. Admittedly, it's a 500ml can, but it's over $10 a can, a bit on the expensive side.
It
but
is.
for what it is, oh my God.
Now, I wouldn't expect someone dressed up in a high-vis suit at the moment to have an $11 can in the hand. I would expect you probably to be dappered up like, well, maybe James Bond or something like that. Just speaking about James Bond, who was your favourite Bond?
Oh, definitely Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, there's no... A couple of them, you see, they went all camp after Sean Connery. They did. It became almost a comedy rather than the dark,
the shtick was there.
James Bondy, you know, almost dark hero that he was.
And you think that Craig brought that back to some extent?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think so. But he just doesn't have the charisma that Sean Connery
See,
had.
I can see where you're coming from, but I would actually take that very line of reasoning to say that I think Timothy Dalton was one hell of a good James Bond.
That's true too.
Yeah.
That's true too. Although one that sticks in my mind, and you're going to laugh.
You usually do make me laugh.
Yeah. Is on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes, the Aussie, Lazenby.
Yeah, now I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about that hottie that played his wife.
Mm-hmm. Diana Rigg.
That's the one. Oh my God, I was in my teens when I watched that, I had many a happy night by myself,
No,
dreaming about that young
I
lady.
understood that he certainly didn't, and that before any of the love scenes that she was eating garlic, I don't think she was actually much a friend of him. I've just been thinking about the James Bond films compared to, let's say, a Mission Impossible, because, well, the other night we let one of the Mission Impossible films roll, and I'll be honest, I'm a very big fan. I think James Bond is something which really got a little bit stuck, it atrophied, and we needed the Jason Bourne movies to really ratchet up a level. And that
my
guy,
God, yes.
oh my God, the Matt Damon character
Yep.
that he played, he kicked some life into the espionage movies. And I think James Bond really had to lift their
The
game.
choreography of those fight scenes. Oh my God, how good was that?
I'm not a fan of shaky cam, and unfortunately I think the later films became that handheld shaky cam sort of film, which wasn't for me, but I think the quality didn't drop, and I really enjoyed it.
Agree.
But coming back to Mission Impossible, you know the last Mission Impossible film, so we're speaking to you now, by the time you see this, film number 7 will have come out, and I probably would have gone to see it. I know that my wife is going to see it next week for sure.
Is she a bit of a fan, is she?
She's quite a fan. She's doing the whole thing. She's going to escape room the day before.
Oh, no.
So she's sort of getting the whole Mission Impossible vibe happening.
Okay.
But you know, the last Mission Impossible film, that's film number 6, which came out a couple of years ago, which we went to the cinema and saw together. And had that fantastic fight scene in the cubicles with the Korean Taekwondo artists.
Yes.
You know that did better at the box office than the last James Bond movie. So when I'm mentioning them both in the same breath, they really do deserve to be mentioned in the same breath. I know that James Bond, you're going back to the books of Ian Fleming, and I don't know if you ever read them. I read some of them and actually quite enjoyed them.
Yeah, oh look, they've completely strayed away from the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Octopussy was 1.5 pages. That's all the story was.
How good is that
Sorry,
name?
I mean to say the Living Daylights. It was at the start of the Octopussy. 1.5 pages, they managed to make a whole film out of it. And they said, well, you know, it's written by that author. It's James Bond.
Yeah.
But, you know, by the same argument, why isn't Chitty Chitty Bang Bang a James Bond movie written by the same author?
Yeah. Or The Great Race.
Magic. I mean, where do you stop? So Quantum of Solace, I think, was one line in something else that he wrote. Suddenly it became a movie.
Yeah.
It gets a bit silly. But I think the first book was around 1953 or something like that, very early 50s. And the books have got that real feeling that you get if you watch your favourite James Bond. I mean, I can watch the original James Bond on camera, and it is just like I'm reading the book. I get that very feel.
The Doctor No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get
definitely.
that same feeling I get in the books. Now, I love camp humour. I love high camp. For me, things like Austin Powers are the funniest thing that I've ever seen. I just love that sort of humour.
Mini-me.
So I love Roger Moore. I adore most of the films he did. I think doing 7 films was a little bit too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Roger Moore as James Bond. I can see how they cast him coming out of The Saint, which was a similar sort of genre, where, you know, he played the good guy, the hero, the whole thing. I don't think he was a James Bond.
And you get a similar sort of thing with the Irish character from Remington Steele, eventually becoming James Bond as well. So I can really understand that. Mission Impossible, though, I think there's a lot of life left in it. So film 7's about to come out. I understand that film 8 is already in the can and has a release date for 2024. And they're talking about starting to make number 9. Tom Cruise said just yesterday that he aspires to be like Harrison Ford and wants to still be making Mission Impossible films in his 80s.
Was he standing on a soapbox when he said this?
You see, the thing is, I think he actually can do something tongue-in-cheek. Don't forget, he was in the last Austin Powers movie as well, doing a send-up of James Bond, so it's not beyond him.
So long as you're not wearing high heels next to him. Anyway, this is just sort of something different we do. We're just having a drink, talking some shit.
Yeah, occasionally talking to camera.
we'd never do that.
No.
Yeah. So, wherever you are, I hope you have a drink with us. Oh, if only you could get a drop of this, you would never go back to what you're drinking now, I promise you.
Yeah, he's not half wrong. He saved me, I think, 10 mils left in the bottom of the can.
Well, you know.
So I might have a bit of an enjoyment afterwards as well.
I hope you guys enjoy your night. And if you do, and you like what we're doing, give us a like and a subscribe.
We'll catch up with you soon.
Good on you.